Hi class, it's Miss Moran, your instructor. Hope everybody's doing really good. So we've already gone over chapters 8 and 9 in the CPT book, but being that there's a good break that we had, I wanted to kind of review with you those chapters. So as you remember, CPT is current procedural terminology. Um, Medical coding transforms services and procedures, supplies, drugs, etc. into CPT HCPCS codes. And we have three different levels of codes. We have level 1 CPT, which is 99201 all the way to 99607. And the category 3 codes I had spoken to you about, they all end with the letter T. I get my marker. There we go, letter T right here. And because they're temporary codes. Then we have our level 2 codes, which is your HCPCS book. HCPCS right over here. That's the smaller book that you have. All of those codes begin with a letter and then 4 numbers. The level 2 codes all begin with numbers. So diagnosis codes, we use the ICD-10, not the CPT for diagnosis. ICD-10 is International Classification of Diseases, 10th revision clinical modification. And you could maybe remember that this is diseases because, because the word diseases is in the name, ICD, International Classification of Diseases. So this is what we use to code for diagnosis, not procedures. And that's the really big book. That's the biggest book that you have. So why do we use codes? Because computers understand numbers and there's specific descriptions attached to each code. And the CPT was developed by the AMA, American Medical Association, in 1966. And it's updated in November of every year to use in January the 1st, actually. The categories are divided, as we just mentioned, in category 1, 2, and 3 codes. Examples of these codes, medical CPT codes are medical, surgical, diagnostic services. A diagnostic service, an example of that would be an X-ray, for example, or an MRI. That's a diagnostic service, an ultrasound. The CPT codes are also used for anesthesia. And the category 2 and 3 codes are alphanumeric. Category 2 codes are for performance measures. And this is, for example, doctors get paid for measuring a patient's health status. For example, if the doctor documents that the patient has received the flu vaccination and he documents that, well, then that's information that the performance measure is being performed. Category 3 codes are used for emerging technologies. For example, when for example, an artificial heart was implanted for the first time. Or let's take that away. Say a pacemaker was inserted for the first time. Pacemaker insertion. There was no code for that. So we had to use a category 3 code, which is those are temporary codes given for procedures that have not yet received a permanent code. CPT codes allow for communication that is both effective and efficient, a mechanism to report services not described by a specific CPT or level 2 code, like consider, for example, renal endoscopy through et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. instead of writing all of this out on the claim form, all we have to do is report 50576, and all of this description is included in the code 50575. Codes are used to tell third-party payers about services and procedures provided and used for basis of payment. And remember, we said a third-party payer is an insurance company. It could be Medicare, Medicaid, Blue Cross Blue Shield, Aetna, AvMed, etc. So incorrect coding results in providers being paid inappropriately, either over or underpaid, and decreased cloud could be cash flow is decreased, and it could be a liability risk as well. So codes are used by clinics, hospitals, rehab centers, ambulance services, long-term care, and actually wherever healthcare services are provided. And these days we know that we have telehealth. So we even have a code for that. Outpatient services for physicians are reported electronically in a billing system. An example of an outpatient service for a physician would be an office visit, annual checkup, or even if I go to my doctor because I have a pain in my arm, that would be, and I'm seen in his office, that's an outpatient service. The CMS 1500 is the universal paper form, claim form that we use, called the CMS 1500. And this is a picture of it. So I think that this is something we had spoken about. And we can see there are 33 fields that we don't fill out every single one of them all the time, but just for you to know that there are 33 fields there. And we'll talk about this down the line. So the CPT format, we have symbols in the CPT that's used to convey information. We have triangles, we have changes of modifications up to a previous code description. Like, for example, 50592, ablation, one or more renal tumors, percutaneous, unilateral, or radiofrequency. Lincoln, a bolt is a lightning bolt is pending FDA approval. So an example, 90630, influenza virus vaccine, quadrivalent, contains 4 virus strains. So a bullet means a new code, and you may have something like this on your certification test. So yeah, bullet means a new code. The pound symbol is a resequence code, and you'll see this in your actual CPT book. Whenever you see this bullet here, you'll know that that's a new code. And the pound symbol is a resequence code. Triangle means revised, revised. The code description was changed. So a right and left triangle means the beginning and ending of text changes. So in this case that we're looking at right here, we can see that where the changes were made is the word "are" and also "are" underneath abdominal muscle just below the rib cage, and also they may be placed. So these are terms that we may see in some of our codes that may or may not have the right and left triangles. So if you see those right and left triangles, just remember that the wording, the text is changed. A plus symbol means an add-on code. So the code right over here doesn't have the plus symbol. This is called a standalone code. And here we have the plus symbol, which is an add-on code. So the add-on code can never, ever, ever be used alone. Add-on codes can only be used with another specific code. never used alone, no reduction for multiple services. So a circle with a line through it means modifier 51 cannot be used with these codes. And you'll see a listing of all of these symbols that I'm talking about at the bottom of on the pages in your CPT book, an actual coding book. You'll see those symbols there. So here's an example, modifier 51 exempt. This is what it looks like right over here. You'll see this here. So a circle means a recycled or reinstated code. And here's an example. And you can see that this particular code is a temporary code. It has a T on it. The appendices of the CPT book, several of them. We have Appendix A for modifiers, B for additions and deletions, revisions. C is going to be for clinical examples, and this is a good one for E and M codes, evaluation and management codes. Appendix D is going to have your add-on codes. E is going to have your 51 exempt codes. F is going to have 63 exempt codes, and so on. Actually, let me mention this one right over here. Oh, could not go. We have Appendix H, performance measures, Category 2 codes, and those codes are listed on the AMA website. Appendix I is used to list genetic testing modifiers, and it was deleted for 2013. Appendix J, electrodiagnostic medicine, listing of sensory, motory, and mixed nerves. Appendix K, product pending FDA approval. L, vascular families. This is a very interesting one. The Appendix L is very, very detailed. And this is to show us, for example, if an angiography is done and it goes beyond, for example, the carotid artery, it'll show up to where, and throughout the whole vascular family, it'll show throughout where, up to where the scope could have gone. So it's really, really important. If you're going to be coding for a cardiologist, an invasive cardiologist, you're going to want to kind of be familiar with that Appendix L. And then Appendix M has deleted codes, CPT codes. So that's good to know, because if you are in doubt about a code, if it's still active or not, you can always go to Appendix M and look at it, look for it there. So N has resequenced CPT codes, and you'll see those sometimes throughout the CPT book that a code is resequenced. So it's not in the regular number order that you would expect it to be. O has assays done for algorithmic analysis. And we have 6 sections to the CPT. Those are like chapters. Each section is like a chapter. Evaluation and management, anesthesia, surgery, radiology, path and lab, medicine, and then we have the Category 2 codes, Category 3 codes, appendix, and all the appendices A through M. The 6 sections I want you to concentrate on are E and M, or these right over here, right in here. Okay, right in here. And the index is at all the way in the back of the book. So each section has a category. Look right over here, for example. This is the section. Surgery is a section. It's one of the 6 sections of the CPT book. A subsection is the nervous system. Subsection here, you can see nervous system. A subheading in the nervous system, which is in the surgery section, is skull, meninges, and brain. And then a category is going to be what procedure was done: injection, drainage, or aspiration. So the way to look at this is that uh, always make sure that you're in the right subsection, because this one here says the nervous system, but you know what? It could be the integumentary system, it could be cardiovascular, uh, musculoskeletal, etc. The CPT book is also categorized by anatomy. For example, the knee or the shoulder, the type of procedure. Was it an incision? Was it an excision? Or the condition even? Was it a fracture, dislocation? Description, a cast or strap. So these are ways that we could look up procedures in the index of our CPT book. There's surgical approaches like anterior cranial fascia or middle cranial fascia. And here's an example. This is an evaluation and management, office or other outpatient services. And look here, it says a new patient. So as I mentioned to you previously, a patient can be new or established. Patient can be seen in the office or in the hospital, right? So this is an outpatient or inpatient. This is a new patient, outpatient. And the example that they give us right over here, the patient needs a script, right, for a non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drug, an NSAID, right? Surgery guidelines, very important. They're extensive. There's like, I don't know, 3 or 4 pages of the guidelines at the beginning of the chapter in surgery or the section. And then each subsections have their own guidelines as well. Look here, for example, specific notes applicable to a group of codes, surgery of the skull base. So it tells us this involves the skull base, which is base of anterior, middle, and posterior cranial fasciae, often requires skills of several surgeons. Okay, these operations are usually, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So there's must reading located throughout the CPT book. Now, 2 types of codes. We have the standalone, which has the full description of the code, and indented, which is dependent on the preceding standalone information. The verbiage before the semicolon applies to all indented codes that follow. And here's an example right over here, and you'll see this in your CPT book. So standalone code is this right over here. So here, full description: drainage of finger abscess simple. So in other words, this is a simple drainage of a finger abscess. But if it was a complicated one, then you use the code 26011. It's all the same description. And you can see where it's indented right over here. And the only thing that has changed is the word complicated. So you'll see this again throughout your CPT book. Standalone code. And then when you see that semicolon, the following is simple, or it could be complicated. A semicolon indicates the full description in the preceding code. You must return to the standalone code for the full description. So here we go. CPT modifiers are 2 digits. You will see those at the back of the hard cover of your CPT coding book. For example, 62 is 2 surgeons performed a surgical procedure. Each surgeon will apply his or her individual skill. And each surgeon will bill the same procedure code well, yeah, they're the procedure code with the modifier 62. Level 2 HCPCS modifiers, 8S, physician assistant. Um, and these are HCPCS. You'll notice how they start with a letter. F1 is left hand second digit. All modifiers used on CPT or HCPCS. Can't go back. Example of a modifier, here we go. What the book is telling us, or the slide is telling us, that both the CPT modifiers and the HCPCS modifiers can be used on the CPT codes. So, and on the HCPCS codes. So here we go, 43820, gastrojejunostomy, 62. So that would be for 2 surgeons. And this is how it would be presented on your claim form. So Medicare is going to require the documentation necessary for having the 2 surgeons. And in field 24 of your CMS 1500 claim form, you can see right over here, it says CPT code. This is where your code would go, and this is where any of your modifiers would go. And you can see the word modifier right there. We have unlisted services. All of those codes for unlisted services are going to end with 99. It's used if no more specific code is available. A special report has accompanied the submission of your claim form. So Category 1 codes begin, all of them, 00, those are anesthesia codes, all the way to 99607. These codes are approved by the AMA, the American Medical Association, and the FDA. And they are codes that have proven clinical effectiveness. The Category 2 codes are supplemental tracking codes used for performance measures. And the codes collect data concerning quality of care and tests. And they are alphanumeric and end with the letter F. And they're located on the AMA website. Category 3 codes, as we said earlier, those are used for new technology. These codes can be used for up to 5 years until they will get a permanent code after 5 years. Identifying emerging technology, services, procedures, and they're located after the medicine section in the CPT book in the back. They're alphanumeric and again end with the letter T. May or may not receive a future Category 2 code status. Category 3 codes have not been approved or have no proven clinical effectiveness, and the usage, we use Category 3 codes instead of an unlisted code if the code describes the condition. We need a special report saying the nature, extent, the need, the time, effort, equipment used, photos of medical journal articles if relevant. And then at the end, we have the index. So all the way in the back of the book, we have the index, and it's alphanumeric. And it's used to locate a service or procedure, terms, or codes. And remember, we said that there's different ways to look in that index for something. It could be by anatomic site, by the name of the condition, like a fracture, for example, or anatomic site. The actual procedure, for example, appendectomy. Using the index will speed up the code location. We use it like we use a dictionary. The first entries and the last entries. Here we go, right over here. Here's an example. Repair is the main term, right? The first entry. And here we go. iris is the body site, right? And then the actual procedure is suture. So the first entry, when you're looking in the index, if you look at the top of the page, all the way to the tip top, and you look at the word repair, for example, and there's going to be a long listing under repair, because you can imagine repair so many different areas of the body. But just so that you're not going through so many pages, the book is made in a way to help you. For example, this here tells you on this page, whatever this page is, the first entry is going to be the word iris, and then the last one is going to be the word toe. So if it's a repair of, let's say, something that starts after the letter T, so repair of a, let's say, help me think of something. I know you can't talk to me, but let me think of something, okay? Repair, let's say, of the shoulder joint. Just to give you an example, it would be on the next page. Actually, no, say repair of the wrist. Wrist would be on the next page. So the presentation of the codes in the index, a single code is going to say for just for example, repair of the wrist, say it would be 38115. That's the only code listed. So you would go now into the main section of the CPT, which is in numerical order, and look for the 38115 and read the code description, and then apply your code. So that's for a single code. But the presentation in the index sometimes gives us multiple codes. And when you see that comma right there, it could be 26645 or 26650. Or, note the comma, it could be a range of codes, 22310 all the way to 22325. And note the hyphen. So when you see that hyphen, that's a range of codes. So how do we look up some codes? We said by the service or procedure like a repair or excision. Those are main terms that we could look up. By anatomic site, maybe the elbow, for example, or the condition, maybe a clot or a cleft lip, or a synonym, the toe or interphalangeal joint, or an eponym, Jones procedure or Heller operation. Or by abbreviation, the ECG or the PEEP. So always refer to the index, locate the code in the main portion of the CPT, read the entire description and any notes. Notes, very important. In the index, you may see where it says cross-reference terms. For example, it will say, look here for code, etc., within the index. So here we go. An example. In the index, we look for stem and then brain, and it tells us see brain stem. So that's what we would do. So that's the conclusion of the introduction to the CPT. So I'm over here for you guys. I know this is all something brand new for everybody. So please, you have my phone number, you have my email. Call me, text me, reach out to me anytime. I'm available for y'all. Be safe. Take care.